You're watching Sublime Technologies. I'm Blake, and this is El Cheapo Jeepo Part 2. All right, so where we stand on El Cheapo to this point in time is, well, the Jeep is partially disassembled, as you saw in our last video. We have the front radiator crossmember out, the radiator, transcooler, AC lines all disconnected. The drive shafts are out, both front and rear. And if you probably noticed in our last video, you saw some sparks flying. Well, that's because those cheap, soft drive shaft bolts that hold the joints in on the actual differential, yeah, they rounded out. So we had to do a little creative ingenuity and get those out with a grinder and a welder. It happens. Anyway, we are pretty much at the point where the only thing left is to disconnect the fuel line, take the exhaust out, and lift it up and out. So what we're going to do is lift it up, get started, and probably drop the diff trans crossmember first so we can get access to everything.
All right, so after getting under here for a minute, I decided to go ahead and do the exhaust first. And there are a few things that I want to point out. One is it's pretty compact in here. You can see on the driver's side, right off of the very short exhaust manifold, there's a forward collector, a catalytic converter, crazy loop, exhaust loop, I guess for equal length, and the secondary collector. So 13 millimeter heads, the bottom one was easy to get to with a battery powered ratchet. The top, I could really only access it with a ratcheting box end wrench. Came off pretty easy. I soaked all of these in penetrating oil a couple days in advance, made it easy. The exhaust manifold, or the collector bolts on the exhaust manifold, actually is easier than I thought it would be. I thought I would really fight this because it's 4 bolts on this flange. One there at the top, you can kind of see. One on this side, you can see the 2, and then there's 2 at the bottom. What was really cool about this, and keep this in mind, I really don't work on 3.6s that often, so this is a learning experience. There is this bracket right here. So even though there are 2 lower exhaust manifold bolts, the bottom of the flange sort of slides into that lip. And you really only have to get to the top bolts. And this whole thing just comes out, which is pretty cool. I just have to unplug the oxygen sensor. That's one thing I didn't do. But I thought that was pretty cool. Same thing on this side. Gonna go ahead and finish getting to the bolts from the top end, and we'll pull the catalytic converters out. We're gonna take the crossover pipe in the exhaust all the way back. There's a secondary flange here before the resonator and the muffler in the back. And that should give us the clearance we need to drop the transfer case, whatever you want to call it, cross member out of the way. And when it's down, we'll be able to pull these 2 bolts off of the transfer case bracket, and it'll just be hanging by the engine mounts. Okay, the engine is now out, and we had a few incidents, minor things, learning opportunities, I guess you could say. One is the Pentastar V6 does not really have a good way to lift it. There's one eyelet sort of behind the alternator on the top center, but there's really nothing on the back end to help angle it out. So, the whole transfer case dropped, making it a little awkward. And the two upper clips that hold the engine cover on kind of touched the foam padding on the back of the firewall a little bit. Nothing crazy, but I'm meticulous. I don't like that. So, call it is what it is. But, it really wasn't that bad. If I had to do it over again, which I'm sure I will be doing it over again, I definitely recommend getting the lifting lugs. They're these special brackets that bolt to the exhaust manifold flanges on the side of each side of the engine block, and it wraps around with these two nice tiers or trees that come up for you to hook an engine hoist to, giving you a more balanced load. So as you probably saw, I had to put a ratchet strap from the hoisting point down to the transfer case to sort of equalize that load and enable me to pull it out towards the front. And upon pulling it out, I also scratched the front bumper. Oh well, I'm gonna replace it anyway. We'll put something cool on there. The engine's out, everything's clean, it went fairly smooth, nothing to complain about. Gonna keep on rolling. It is what it is.